Hey there boxing fans, this is Ian Thomas and this is the Mob Predictions. On Saturday the 2nd of October we get to see Chris Eubank Jr take on SVEN ELBIR at Wembley Arena live on Sky Sports Boxing. So firstly, the tail of the tape. Eubank comes into this fight with 30 wins, 2 losses and no draws, and 22 of those victories come in way of stoppage. He's 32-year-old, he stands at 5'11", and he's got a 72.5-inch reach. Where ELBIR comes into this fight with 18 wins, 1 loss and no draws, and 14 of his victories have come in way of stoppage. He's the younger man at 27, he's the slightly shorter man at 5'9", and he's got the same reach of 72.5 inch, and both fighters are orthodox stance fighters. So firstly, let's introduce SVEN ELBIR. He's a German fighter who has only fought in Germany, so this is his first trip outside of his home country. This, in my opinion, is a big step up for ELBIR. I mean, credit for him for jumping at the chance to fight a name like Eubank, but I just feel he's completely out of his depth, which is not ELBIR's fault, but there are leagues in boxing. ELBIR does like to come forward, and he does look to throw big body shots. He does love an uppercut, which is a decent punch to have, especially when your opponent is sagging and from those body shots, and then he leans over and then it sets up the shot nicely. But the question is, will he be able to affect the body of Eubank? It's highly unlikely. We've not seen a lot of people affect the body of Eubank. He is a fit lad. It could be an entertaining fight early on if ELBIR comes forward, looks to catch Eubank maybe cold, but I think it also could be his downfall. I feel that his style is tailor-made for Eubank to look good on the night, but again, credit to ELBIR for stepping up. Now let's introduce Chris Eubank Jr. He's 32 and fights out of Brighton. He's recently teamed up with Roy Jones Jr, and in my opinion, it was the wrong decision. Not criticising Roy Jones Jr at all, but I just feel that Eubank is far better throwing lots of punches, and he's not the type of boxer to box and move. I think his action style is to throw volumes of punches and show that he's obviously tough, that he can take a punch back. But to try and change that at such a late age is going to be very difficult. Yes, he likes to showboat, and both Jones and Eubank will thrive under the lights together. But in his last fight, I just didn't like the style of Eubank. He fought in batches and was resting in between, and I just don't think fans are buying it anymore. I could put up with the showboating in his early stages of his career, as he was putting on lots of action for fans. But against Morrison, it was just flat. He did hurt Morrison at times and then let him off the hook. Maybe that was a case of him trying to get some rounds in, but there's no overtime in boxing. For me, Eubank, in my opinion, has only fought 2 world-class fighters, and he's lost both. Maybe this change will work for him, but the fight he wants, or the fighters he says he wants to fight, in the likes of Triple G, Canelo, or even recently saying he wouldn't mind fighting Billy Joe Saunders, he needs to up his work rate and box smart. It's so frustrating because he's got bags of ability. He's got an unbelievable engine and a granite chin. But it seems to me that his lack of discipline will once again leave him watching the parade go by, which is again frustrated because he's got unlimited potential, but that discipline is a key factor. I don't doubt his training methods, because I watch videos of him and he comes in unbelievable shape. But in the past, having his father stared at him in the corner, his name is in the headlights because of his dad. I was hoping he was kind of going to get out of that shadow, but now having Roy Jones Jr in his corner, the spotlight is still on him. He's not got away from the spotlight, and maybe that's what he likes. Personally, I would like to see him get his head down, do the business in the ring, fight the big names, and maybe implant his legacy in his own way. This fight for me is a Eubank look at me fight. He wants to look good, he wants to get the rounds in, but for me, if he wants to get that super fight, then he should be fighting bigger names, in my opinion, especially with the likes of Andrade or Charlo out there. I mean, I personally would have loved to see him fight Liam Williams. In my opinion, that fight sells huge. Both men come to fight. Both will build the fight up unbelievably, and I think it's a really interesting fight, especially that Williams keeps calling him out, but Eubank just doesn't want to look that way. Interesting fight that will be, and that's the type of fights I would like to see Eubank have before, if he wants to fight the Triple G or the Canelo. Key points in this fight, in my opinion: Eubank will look to showcase his newly learned skills, so to speak, and look to impress in front of fans again. But in reality, he's going to be heavily criticised for picking this opponent, and rightly so. Elbir, for me, will look to land and look to hurt Eubank, but I think he will be outclassed on the night. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he comes in confident and coming to win and puts on a great fight for the fans. So my prediction is a Eubank win by stoppage. I think he'll fight in flashes in the early stages and then hurt Elbir and maybe in the 4th or 5th round, and then look to get the stoppage in the middle rounds. Eubank will then go on to call a big name out, which probably won't happen, sadly. But like I said, if he doesn't get that big name, such as the Triple Gs or the Canelos, I would like to see him have a domestic dust-up with the likes of Liam Williams, or even if he goes to the Andrades or the Charlos. So I hope you enjoyed this prediction. Please let us know in the comments below who you think will win the fight. This is Ian Thomas on behalf of the Mob Predictions. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and thanks for watching.